Drones only have 16 chromosomes. They result from an unfertilized egg. All the sperm produced by a drone is identical, genetically identical. Of course, there's mutations that happen, but nominally it's all identical. There's only 16 chromosomes. This is just, again, a fun fact. You've probably all seen this. Drones are entirely derived from the queen. Therefore, a drone has no father and cannot have sons. But the drone has a grandfather and can have grandsons. So we're not going to quiz you on that. In rare instances, you can have a diploid drone. We talked about avoiding inbreeding. Inbreeding can result in diploid drones, drones that have a full complement of 32 chromosomes. Haploid is 16, diploid is 32. So when you have multiple crossings, that is brother-sister matings, you can lead to inbreeding and you can get these diploid drones. Diploids are basically cannibalized by the nurse bees. They detect that there's some anomalous condition here and they remove it. And you can see that resulting in spotted brood. If you pull a frame and there's a lot of open cells in the middle, which should be a good solid brood nest, probably not in inbreeding conditions, probably not diploid drones, it's probably varroa mites. But if you've ruled out varroa mites and ruled out diseases, it can be hard to rule out viruses, but you should potentially look at issues with inbreeding. Probably not an issue most backyard beekeepers are going to have to deal with, so I don't want people to get panicked by that, okay? These next charts I'm going to completely skip over. They're in the package that you can download. If you have any questions about that, you can just drop me an email. So I talked about what characteristics are good. So here are my top 3. We make honey, don't like to treat if I don't have to, and my bees better darn well survive winter. So that's how I rate my breeding colonies. If they make these 3, then they're considered for further consideration. If they have some of these, that's good too. Gentleness is not super high on my list, but I don't like being swarmed by bees. I don't like bees in my veil. I had a friend, he's a well-known beekeeper, I'm not going to give his name out. He said, "Hey Sean, I got this colony. Every time I open it, the bees are so tight on my veil I can't even see the hive." I'm like, "Really? I'm going to come over and look at that." I went over there, sure enough, I opened his colony, boom, they're on my face. I'm like, "That's a problem, man." Yeah. So we tore that thing apart and killed the queen and put in some other genetics that I brought over. But yeah, I mean, within reason, you gotta have some ability to work a colony. And if you live in a neighborhood, this is gonna be high on your list, right? I like a good solid brood pattern. You know, I'm gonna allow for some hygienic behavior. Obviously you want that to achieve this. You gotta have some hygienic behavior to manage pests and diseases. But I don't want to be scrounging through a colony to find brood frames. I want to have a nice, good, concise brood nest. I want to have a good, solid brood nest. Minimal swarming tendencies. I think that's overlooked by a lot of backyard beekeepers. A lot of backyard beekeepers, the bees are swarming. Either they don't have the time to manage them properly, or they propagate their hives from swarms that they captured. And swarmy bees can make swarmy bees. So if your colonies are swarming every year, you should look at your management techniques. And if you think you're doing everything right, bounce it off a friend. Say, "Hey, this is how I'm doing and my bees are still swarming." Maybe the bees that you have a higher swarming propensity. Okay? It happens. I had a call from a woman in Smithfield area last year. She called me 3 separate times. "Sean, my bees just swarm. Sean, my bees swarm. My bees swarm." And I'm like, It's like, at the end of the season, says, John, take my bees. I'm like, I'm not gonna take them, I'll hold them for you, and I'll requeen them and give them back to you in the spring. But there was something wrong with those bees. Because I looked at what she had, and there was adequate room, everything was good, but something was a heightened swarming tendency. I do like this, quiet on the comb. What does that mean? That means when I pull a frame out, there's not bees running everywhere. They're not dripping down off the frame into the hive or into the grass. They're stationary. So generally, this and this go together. Running bees can be gentle, but typically running bees are not gentle. And I don't like seeing, I like to see a queen just lumbering around, doing her business. I'm holding the frame, putting it in the light. She's just lumbering around. She's not panicking, freaking out, dropping on the ground, not going airborne. So I like to see that. Yes.
So would you say winter hardy is anything that beats a 40% loss? What's winter hardy? I mean, when you're describing winter hardy, what does that mean?
Winter hardy is like 10% loss.
Oh, wow.
30% loss is abysmal.
Okay.
I basically lose one colony a year, and that's generally operator error.
So you get this quality queen like this, how long do you maintain it?
How long do I maintain her?
Yeah, I mean, do you just let
very,
them
very
do
good
their
question.
thing?
Pardon me?
Or, the big guys will pinch them every year, some people say every 2 years, every 3 years, whatever. I mean,
I try to run queens in production mode 2 years. Year 3, if that colony is still plugging away, I will generally pull that one out. I will reserve her, and she becomes strong mating potential. But 2 years is kind of my target for honey production. 1 queen, 2 years. That's why I try to achieve that. I'm not a person that annually requeens every colony I have. I don't do that. And I have some that they have certain genetics that I really like. I just allow them to just go sail through eternity. I have one in particular that I haven't touched the queen genetics in that colony for 5 years. And I know she's not the same, but they're just doing so well. Every year they're just making big honey crops.
you just let them requeen themselves.
I let that one requeen itself. I pull lots of grafts off that colony because it's so exceptional, year after year after year.
Hey, Sean, real quick, just back, do you still run are you running double deeps through the winter, or are you still collapsing down to one?
I'm running double deeps right now.
Okay.
So most of the stuff I have is either a double deep or a deep and a medium. I think you can winter in single deeps. I've done it.
Yeah, I know, years ago,
Yeah,
first
yeah.
attended lecture, you said you were pushing down.
Yeah, single deeps is definitely doable.
Is it 8 or 10 frame?
I use 10 frame equipment and I run deeps mostly for brood. So, what was I going to say? The reason I've gone to single deeps is kind of an aside, is it's more work. It's honestly more work to run single deeps because you have to stay on top of them a lot more in the fall and winter and spring buildup. I've kind of, the more hives I get, I've realized I'm human. There's only so much I can do, so I've said, okay, the path of least resistance here is just make the colony bigger, give them more resources. I don't have to manage it as intensely as I once did. That's been my trade-off.
Sean, do you ever overwinter double nukes together?
Oh yeah, I have a few nukes right now. I'm overwintering.
You put
In
them
fact,
together?
I'm overwintering some of these this winter. I'll talk more about that later. So, evaluating queen performance. That's one of the things you always have to do. You're making queen. You have to evaluate how she's doing. So you first assess whether or not the colony has adequate populations. You can't really fairly assess a colony that you've just started and has very low populations. You've got to have adequate populations, and they have to have either feed on them or stores present. You're looking for what I consider a compact brood nest. Yes, again, it's a nice, you want to see a basketball in the center of a 10-frame box. At least a big basketball, beach ball almost. You want a dense pattern with few empty cells, about 5% typically empty cells. It's kind of a good indicator of some hygienic as well as a good queen laying pattern. In Hampton Roads, a good queen will fill at least 6 to 9 comb deeps of brood by early March. That's my indicator. In March, my 10-frame deeps, I'm looking to see no less than 6 frames of brood. 9 frames, that's good. And you also want to see the cells being relayed as soon as the young larvae or young bees emerge. Should be the brood pattern should be uniform in the combs. You get into big sphere or oval. This year, I was out in the yard and I saw something very interesting. It was a double deep configuration. I went to the top deep. First frame out was honey. Second frame out I pulled January 8th this year. The second frame I pulled it and I'm like, what the heck? Those are eggs on the second frame out. I'm like, okay. Went to the next frame in and this is what I found. On one side, it's going to be hard to see here. There's so many bees on this. The brood goes like that on that frame. And this was the other side of that frame.
I've seen that this
You
year.
you can see that they've already emerged. So she laid in a concentric circle here. So they emerged here, and she had in the next frame, in the next frame. There was 4 big frames of brood in January.
There's been a lot of brood this winter because it's been too warm.
It's been very, very warm. So that's a colony that I'm going to really have to stay on top of. I think they get enormous. So, but I saw that and I was smiling because, something like that gives me options. I can make a split on that. Like I said, I'm wintering things like this. That's a queen source for me. I can make a split in, early March and I'm making honey from that colony. Okay, evaluating the queen performance, spotty brood pattern, not a good thing, generally speaking. Spotty brood pattern, lots of empty cells where you expect them not to be. Queen is not laid or disease larva has been removed. Indicator of possibly a poor queen, poor mating, inbred. Again, we talked about this diploid drone thing. But in order to evaluate spotty brood, you have to first rule out these things here. High varroa, that's the most common cause of spotty brood. European fall brood, hope you never see that, American fall brood. But if you see spotty brood, that's what you're looking for right there, most of the time. Or just not a great queen. This is another picture of one of my frames. This is, again, when I was working with the USDA lab in Baton Rouge. This picture was taken August 9th in Hampton Roads, 2014. We had done a mite test on 300 bees, and there was 0 mites detected. This is a 2-year-old colony at this point. So what you see here, see a couple things. If you could see it clearly, as I do on my screen, there's some glistening cells in here. So when the brood was emerging, August 9th, that's cotton flow in Hampton Roads. So they're backfilling the brood nest. So, very good, much better. Thank you. So not a good beekeeper here, letting the brood frames get backfilled with nectar. That means that there's not enough space in this colony, right? They didn't swarm on me. We also see a lot of empty cells. So there were some other colonies in that yard that had high varroa. This colony had 0. The reason it had 0 is it was super high expressing VSH, varroa sensitive hygienic bees. So they're basically managing the varroa mites by pulling, basically uncapping. So see right here, this white, you see the white head of a pupa? They essentially uncap that, they inspect the cell, either pull the larva out, or they just cap it back over. The uncapping and recapping disturbs the varroa enough that she can't reproduce as much. So, very good thing.
How many times do they uncap it, cap it?
A couple times, they can go a couple times. And it disturbs the varroa development enough that prevents her from propagating.
Like once a week or?
I'm not quite sure the frequency they do it, but they only have a brief period of time during the incubation.
Yeah.
So again, another frame earlier in that same year, 2014, in March, I had this big giant monster colonies, and that's what you get when you have monster colonies in March. Lots of honey. So that was that, and where are we at in the schedule here? So we're gonna get into the meat of the course right now. We're going to be talking about producing queen cells. So maybe everyone stand up for a couple minutes, just kind of get the blood circulating, because I really want you to pay attention here. This is the one you want to really listen to. Real quick bathroom break.
So Sean, going back to honey
Ruth
production.
has not sanctioned this bathroom break, so don't let her see you in the hallway.
Got the debate, the local debate, maybe it's national debate. Queen excluders equal poor honey production, some people. You know, I heard that from Andy, some others, if you want honey production, you don't use queen excluders. Yeah.
So this is I don't want any production of that without queen.
Did you get the slides yet? Did you get the keyword or password yet?
You had that. I have very useful marketing that I know my colleagues. It's management practice. You need to know how to manage your colleagues with great knowledge. You can take a just slap it on a colleague and they're going to swallow it. You manage your colleague properly with things.
I said scoop.
Yeah, there's a good article on resource in the 23rd section that Jerry Davis, he was a 8 years in Florida, now working for a company. He did a head-to-head study on TV clinics with they did prove in his study that they do. It's like any skill though, if you want to do it right.
Can you get me one, please?
You say no?
No, I'm okay. Thank you.
So where do you sell your honey out of China?
We sell it in Hampton Roads.
What is it called? Southern Chesapeake. The Hickory Ridge people don't get it. The Hickory Ridge farms, yeah.
So on the same website, you can download the presentation. And where to buy honey, you can current, so none of our vendors.
Do you feed your bees in the wild?
That's all we have.
I understand. You don't get around to it, doesn't help any.
There can only be one.
There's some ordinance. I'm for teaching me stuff. Anytime you want.
You're out there.
a lot of, I don't wanna get into pollination, but
It's a double-edged sword too, it's cotton, you know, you're gonna spray the cotton.
I have 5,000 acres of cotton within 2 miles of me. But.
Get away from the sit table.
I can't hear, huh?
I said, get away from the
I
sit
am,
table.
I'm walking away, I'm just walking away.
Just say no. And I asked them to call me before they bring the tractors out and start spraying. I actually got my colonies, they spray, I look and fly the next day after everything's dried out. That's the best I can do. The only good way you can do it is the environment you live in.